At church last night, we had a great meal. The church family there's been so kind and welcoming to me the last year. Over the summer on Wednesdays, they have a guest preacher come and talk to us. The sermon starts promptly at 6:30 p.m. So after I had some spaghetti and fun conversation with friends at the table, I went to sit down where the sermon would happen. There was a woman ahead of me in age, sitting by herself in the front. And I normally sit by myself, so I figured I'd ask her if I could join her, just to have someone to chat with for a few minutes until the sermon started. I opened up by telling her I was a Christian for a year so far, and it's been awesome. I just started reading the Bible rather than just bits and pieces. I asked her for some advice. She said, "You're probably going to focus a lot on the New Testament, but don't forget about all the amazing things from the Old Testament." She brought up some great things that I needed to know. Now, she said a lot of it won't make sense at first, and that over the years, some of it still doesn't make sense for her. She said for herself, she's got a hard time understanding war, mass casualties, and so on and so forth that have went on since the beginning. The nice thing about fellowship is we can help each other fill the gaps in. Just like she reminded me that there was a whole Old Testament out of there to pull knowledge and wisdom from. I explained to her that I had also had that same struggle about war, casualties, and he helped me to come to some conclusions that really helped with understanding how to cope with that. I explained that when I realized that every last second of what's going on around us is God in motion, that he didn't just visualize and see our reality, but he had a hand in it, and that reality itself belonged to him, and that every last bit of it has a purpose. That really opened my eyes. I realized I had to trust God, that he has a plan for each of us, and the horrific things that we see happen have a purpose, and in the grander scheme of things will always lead to something beautiful as long as we have trust. I didn't realize that after our conversation, it was 7 o'clock. We'd sat there for 35 minutes talking. Apparently the guest pastor was late getting there, and his sermon was all about trusting God. So, if you take anything away from this, it's to trust God through the good and the bad. Always keep the faith. He'll see you through anything. Don't ever forget that. Live in the reality of God rather than the reality of the world.